Hey, I'm Michael from the Mr. Crafty Pants YouTube channel and MrCraftyPants.com, where I show you tips, tricks, and tutorials on how to use and master your Cricut cutting machine. And this is OcTAYber. Now, y'all, I am doing a little miniature series during OcTAYber where every single Tuesday I am bringing you a brand new episode where I am transforming my parents' front porch for Halloween with the help of shop.OntieTay.com products, her Craft Day creator membership site, as well as the Auntie Tay x Mr. Crafty Pants patterned vinyl and HTV collection. And y'all, I am obsessed over this collection. I mean, I probably should be since I created them all by hand. I just love these patterns so much. And speaking of patterns, there are 32 of them. 32 patterns that are available in both a permanent adhesive vinyl as well as a heat transfer vinyl. And within that collection, although it is Halloween themed, there are plenty of patterns that I like to consider universal. And what universal means to me in this scenario anyway, is that there are patterns that can be used any time of year, no matter what the season is. So be sure to check that out. It is on shop.OntieTay.com. They are linked for you all down in that description box below as well. And you can use my code, which is crafty, and that will save you 10% on your entire order. Now, as far as today's projects goes, I'm really excited because I'm showing you how to customize and create a Halloween themed pillow, as well as some really cool banner pennants. So without further ado, let's get crafty. All right, so for our pillow covers for our front porch, we are going to be using some HTV. And as far as the HTV goes, I'm using some Caesar Easy Weed in black from shop.OntieTay.com. I am also using some Auntie Tay x Mr. Crafty Pants Patterned HTV. I'm so excited for this line, and I'm even way more excited to be using this during our project today. Next, I'm using some 18-inch by 18-inch pillow covers, like this right here. I just got these off of Amazon, just regular 18-inch by 18-inch cotton pillowcases. Nothing super fancy about them. And we're also going to need some files to make our designs with, right? And I'm getting my SVG files from Auntie Tay's Craft Day creator membership. So let's head over there right now and I'll show you exactly which ones I'm downloading. All right, so here I am on AuntieTay.com where her Craft Day creator membership is. And you know what, like, first things first, let's take a look at her membership, because y'all, if you are not a member, I mean, what are you doing with your life? Like, I don't even know. So I'm gonna come right over here and I'm gonna select become a member. And then let's come right down here and let's take a look at the different, basically different membership levels. Like the Craft Day creator level, literally you get access to thousands of SVGs, and they literally release a new SVG bundle like every single week. So it just keeps getting better and better and better. Not only that, but you get access to hundreds of fonts as well. And they're like amazing SVG files, and they are amazing fonts. And y'all, she has tons of Disney inspired SVG files as well. It's so good. Now here's the thing, if you actually want to create products with the applicable SVG files and then sell those products, you will need like the commercial use license right over here. And let's be real, y'all, $13 a month is so freaking affordable whenever you get access to selling the applicable SVGs and making a profit. Like, that's a no-brainer. So obviously with the commercial use license, you also get access to everything that's right over here in the Craft Day creator column. Now, if you want to level it up one level more and get access to literally everything on the screen, you can become a business member, which is like $25 a month, and everybody raves about this. Like, I've heard so many good things about it. It's like unreal. So check all that out. But as for right now, let's just go ahead and jump into the SVG that I'm using for today's project. So I'm coming right back up here, hovering over where it says SVGs. And you scroll down a little bit, let's click on Holiday SVGs right here. And then I'm just gonna come right down here and select this little Halloween icon. And here we go. So I'm actually gonna select this Halloween bundle right here that has a lot of different images in there. So I'm really excited for that. So I'm gonna select that. And as you can see, just one click download, which I love. Now I am using the Chrome browser, so automatically it downloaded down here to the bottom left-hand corner of my screen. However, regardless of whatever browser you're using, it should work exactly the same. It just may not end up at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. And now let's come over here to Cricut Design Space and we'll get started designing. All right, so here we are on the canvas, and I'm gonna come over here to the left-hand side of the page and click on Upload. And then I'm gonna click on Upload Image. And then I'm gonna click on Browse. And I'm gonna first do a search for Halloween Bundle. And let's just take a look through here real quick. And here is the skull right here that I'm wanting to use for one of our designs. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on Open. And then I'm gonna come down here towards the bottom right-hand corner and select Save. Let's go ahead and click on him and then come down here towards the bottom right-hand corner and select Insert Images. There we go. So now I'm actually gonna come back over here to the left-hand side of the page, click on Upload again, and then click on Upload Image, and then on Browse. And then just come right down this way, and I'm gonna open up this little ghost face right here. There we go. So now I'm gonna come down here towards the bottom right-hand corner and select Save. And now I'm gonna select our little ghost image, our ghost face, and then insert that onto the canvas as well. All right, so here are the images that I'll be using for my project today. Now, I always like to create templates. It's just something that I do. It makes the entire process so much easier in my own personal opinion, and you know exactly how big to resize your image to. So to create our template, I'm gonna come over here to the left-hand side of the page, click on Shapes, and open up a square. There we go. And I'm gonna go ahead and change the color of this square, or of this template rather, although it has zero bearing on our project. It just, to me, helps us visualize it a little bit easier on what it's gonna look like once it's all said and done. So to do that, I'm coming up here towards the top left-hand corner, clicking on this little color swatch and changing that to white. There we go. So now we actually need to resize this square to be the exact size of our pillow covers, right? And our pillow covers are 18 inches by 18 inches. So I'm gonna come up here towards the top of the canvas, right here where it says width. I'm gonna change that to 18 for 18 inches. And since that little padlock is locked, it went ahead and changed the height to be 18 inches as well. All right, so now I'm gonna right click this square or right click this template and then come down here and select Send to Back. There we go. All right, so let's go ahead and just start with the skull since it's already partially on this template. And first things first, let's come over here to the right-hand side of the page to the canvas, and we'll see that the skull has two layers, right? So it has like this white layer and then it has like this black layer. Let's go ahead and click this little eye icon to the right-hand side of this black layer to hide that, because I'm actually just wanting to cut out the skull and the skull only. Let's go ahead and just resize the skull accordingly. All right, so now I'm going to actually right click the pillow cover and then select Duplicate. I'm gonna come down here towards the bottom left-hand corner and just zoom out a little bit. There we go. And let's grab this, this ghost SVG, this ghost face. Let's right click that and then select Send to Front. And there we go. So we actually do have a little bit of room to make this a little bit bigger. And now I'm gonna create another pillow cover to kind of be offset behind these two other pillow covers as well. All right, so now I'm gonna right click this pillow cover yet again and then select Duplicate. All right, so I'm actually gonna create a polka dot pattern for this just because it kind of goes along with the rest of the theme of the front porch. And so to do that, I'm gonna come over here to the left-hand side of the page, click on Shapes, and then click on Circle. There we go. And I'm just gonna kind of place these just randomly across the pillow cover just to see what I think looks fairly nice anyway. And again, this is mainly personal preference. It's whatever you think is gonna look good and whatever you want to have for your particular pillow cover. All right, so I think that something like that should look pretty good. I like it anyway. So I'm actually gonna click the pillow cover, click that little X. I know that this pillow cover has, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 circles on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate all of those, just like that, for 2 pillows. And now I can go ahead and delete these pillow covers back here. And now we're ready to click on Make It. So I'm gonna come up here towards the top right-hand corner and select Make It. All right, so it looks like the first design that's gonna cut out is this skull right here. And for this skull, I'm gonna use this material right here. I named this Lulu Lace, Lou standing for Louisville, where I grew up at. And one thing that I love about this particular patterned HTV is that it has a built-in carrier sheet, which means that we're going to have to go through here and mirror all of our mats, but also that we're going to apply this like shiny side down onto the mat, or pretty side down onto the mat. Another thing that I love about this HTV is that it's basically indistinguishable from actual Caesar HTV. It looks, it feels, it may sound weird, but it even smells just like Caesar HTV. And yes, I know how strange that sounds, but I just love this stuff through and through. The cut settings are exactly the same as what you would cut out with Caesar HTV. The heat settings are the same. Everything is pretty much identical. I'm just saying. Now, this particular skull looks pretty symmetrical, and I don't think it would make much difference, if any, if I mirrored it, but I still think that it's always a really, really good habit to get into, to go ahead and just mirror everything whenever you're using HTV. All right, so now I'm gonna come down here towards the bottom right-hand corner and select continue. And for our base material, I'm going to set that to the everyday iron-on setting. If you are using a Cricut Explorer and you don't see this page, just turn your dial over to custom, and then this should pop up for you. Now, always, always, always be sure to do test cuts. Like, please, please, please do your test cuts. It breaks my heart whenever I see people post in my group about how they didn't do a test cut, and because of that, their entire sheet of vinyl or HTV is ruined. It's soul crushing to me. But that is why it's just so important to do your test cuts, make sure that your material setting is right, and also make sure that your pressure setting is right as well. I am just going to take my easy press that is heated up to 305 degrees. The timer is set to 12 seconds, and I'm going to go ahead and just preheat this pillow cover. And you always want to do that not only to just get the wrinkles out, but also to get any moisture that's within the fabric, get that out as well. All right, so now I'm just going to take my skull right here. And again, the pattern that I used was the Lulu lace in the black and white. And I'm just going to position that right in the center of this pillow cover. All right, so now I'm just going to cover this up with my cover sheet, aka Teflon sheet. And I'm just grabbing my easy press, and we'll put this right over top of this skull for 12 seconds. And I can go ahead and remove the carrier sheet as well. You guys, like, I'm in love with that so much. Like, this is exactly what I had envisioned, and that's always a really good feeling whenever like you actually have that vision that you have in your mind. Whenever it comes to fruition, that's the kind of moment for me right now. I love this. All right, so now before we actually press the other pillow covers, I'm just gonna grab my scissors and then cut out each of these little circles. All right, so here is another one of our pillow covers. All right, so I'm actually gonna grab some of these polka dots and then just place them wherever I'd like to see them on this pillow cover. It's just super, super easy. All right, so I'm just grabbing my cover sheet now, and then I'm gonna cover up part of this design. And obviously our easy press cannot cover this entire thing with one big swoop, but I'm actually gonna press this in sections instead for 12 seconds on each area. All right, so I can go ahead and peel off the carrier sheet for these. Okay, so I'm taking this little banner or flag or pennant or whatever you want to call this thing. I'm going to customize it, but then I'm going to hang it onto this almost handmade looking ladder. I'm not entirely sure of the technical term of them. I've heard them called blanket ladders before, but hopefully you get the idea. If not, I'll insert a picture right here for you. But I'm gonna take these and customize them and hang them onto that ladder. So to do that, of course, we need to jump into Cricut Design Space, and you all probably know the drill by now that I want to create a template to create our design on top of. So let's jump into Cricut Design Space real quick. All right, so to make our template, the first thing I'm going to do is come over here to the left-hand side of the page and click on Shapes. And I'm going to open up a square. And there is that. Now, since these little banners actually have a little point, it comes down to like a little point, I'm obviously going to have to add on that section to our square, right? And the way that I'm going to do that is by opening up a triangle. So I'm coming back over here to the left-hand side of the page and clicking on shapes, and I'm going to click on triangle. All right, so real quick, I'm gonna get the measurements of this so I know how big to make our template in Cricut Design Space. All right, so it looks like the total height is right at 10 inches. So from this section right here down to this section right here, let's see how big that is or how tall that is. All right, so we're looking at 7 inches from about right here to right here. So now let's see how much space is from here to right here. Should be 3 inches, but let's just double check. All right, so it's right at 3 inches. So now let's just check out the width of this as well. All right, so we're looking at just a little bit over 9.5 inches. So I'm going to come over here to Cricut Design Space. I'm going to click on this little square right here and come up here towards the top of the canvas, click on this little padlock. That padlock is locking in the proportions of that square. So this way we can actually have a different measurement for both the width and the height by unlocking the proportions. Now for the width, I said it's a little bit over 9.5 inches. So I'm putting here 9.6, just a guesstimate. And for the height, I'm going to make this 7 inches. There we go. And as far as our triangle goes, I'm gonna make it the same exact width by coming up here towards the top of the canvas, unlocking that little padlock, changing that width to 9.5, or I'm sorry, 9.6, I think is what we agreed on. There we go. And as for the height, I'm gonna change that to just 3. There we go. And now I'm gonna come over here and select flip, and then select flip vertical. All right, so that looks about right. So I'm actually gonna click and drag over both of these, and then come down here towards the bottom right hand corner and select weld. And weld basically just fuses those two layers together pretty much permanently. All right, so obviously our little banners or pennants is not charcoal gray, nor does our template need to be, but you know, I just like to change it to be able to visualize everything just a little bit more clearer, and I feel like it helps you all as well. I'm gonna click on that and then come up here towards the top left hand corner, click on that color swatch, and then change this to this white, because like that white's probably the closest color we have to that. All right, so now I'm going to right click it and then select duplicate, and then do that one more time. Right click it and then select duplicate. There we go. All right, so I'm actually going to customize this by saying boo, like B-O-O. So B on the first little flag, O on the second, and then O on the third. Now to do that, I am going to use a font from Auntie Tay's Crafty Creator Membership. And so to do that, I'm coming over here to her website. Here we go. And so I'm gonna come right over here where it says fonts, click on that. And I'm gonna download this Sugar Punch font right here. And yet again, just with the one-click download, which I love. So this is the little zip folder. I'm gonna click on that to unzip that folder. Here is that font file right here. So I'm gonna double click that and then select install font. All right, so now I'm gonna come back over here to Cricut Design Space. I'm gonna go ahead and save this real quick as banners. Hit save. And I'm gonna go ahead and close out of Cricut Design Space and then relaunch it. That way, all those fonts are gonna be refreshed inside of its library, and now we'll be able to use the fonts that we just downloaded. All right, so now I'm gonna come over here to the left-hand side of the page, click on text, and I'm gonna type in here B. I'm gonna click that letter and then come down here towards the bottom right-hand corner of that letter. Click this little resize handle and then just drag that outwards. So now I'm gonna come up here towards the top left-hand corner where it says font, and I'm going to click on system, because system is all the fonts that you own or all the fonts that are downloaded to your computer. And I'm going to do a search for sugar. There we go, Sugar Punch. And I am now going to come over here to the left hand side of the page and click on shapes, and I'm going to open up a square. Go ahead and grab this little resize handle on the square, just make that a little bit bigger. I'm going to right click it and then select send to back. I'm going to drag this B right over top of that square. All right, so now I'm going to click and drag over that square and over our letter, and then come down here towards the bottom right hand corner and select slice. This right here is just basically garbage, so I'm gonna go ahead and click the little red X. All right, so now I'm gonna come over here and select text again. I'm gonna type in here O, a capital O. Drag this right up here, grab this little resize handle and just drag that outwards. And I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate that for the third banner. There we go. All right, so now I'm gonna come back over here to the left hand side of the page, click on shapes again and open up another square. And basically do the same thing with this. I'm gonna right click it and then select send it back, and then just resize it to make it a little bit bigger. And I am now gonna grab this O, drag this over top of it, click and drag over that square and over that O, and then come down here towards the bottom right hand corner and select slice. All right, so this is basically just remnants. This is just garbage. And there we go. So I'm actually gonna come back over here and select this B that we sliced out of that square. And I'm gonna come down here towards the bottom right hand corner and select contour. And basically we wanna remove the square background and this main portion, this main outer portion of that B, just like that. So by doing that, as you can see, we now have a fill for the inside of that B, okay? So basically we now have a layer that will fit perfectly inside of this B, just like so. All right, so now I'm gonna click on the square that we sliced that O out of, and I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna come down here towards the bottom right-hand corner, select contour, select this square background, and then I'm gonna click on this little outer ring around that O. And just like that, we also have a fill basically for the inside of that O. All right, so I'm gonna right-click that, and then select duplicate, and then we'll have one for the third one as well. All right, so here is our B for this banner. I'm gonna go ahead and come up here towards the top right-hand corner and select group. That way we can resize them collectively. I'm gonna grab this little resize handle right here and then just drag that outwards. All right, so the same thing for these O's right here. I'm gonna click and drag over both of those layers and then come up here towards the top right-hand corner and select group. And I wanna do the same thing with this one as well. All right, so I'm gonna grab this little resize handle, drag that outwards just to get it to be the right size, and do the same thing for this one. All right, so I'm really liking how that's looking. And since we don't really need the template anymore, I'm gonna go ahead and just click on that little flag in the background and hold down my shift key and select all of those. And then click this little red X right there. All right, so as far as the 2 layers for the B, the 2 layers for the first O, and then the 2 layers for the second O, we need to figure out what type of HTV or what pattern of HTV that we're using. And of course, I'm using the Auntie x Mr. Crafty Pants patterned vinyl or patterned HTV collection. And I am using these patterns right here. Since they are all just completely different patterns, I'm gonna go in here on Cricut Design Space and make each of those layers a completely different color. That way Cricut Design Space will automatically put each of those layers onto its own mat. All right, so to do that, I'm gonna come over here to the layers panel to the right-hand side of the page, click this first layer, and we can just change that to red. For the ring outside of that, I'm gonna come up here and change that to this pink color. All right, so now for the O's, let's click and change that to this darker purple. And for this one, we'll change that to a lighter purple. All right, so now for the last set of O's, we'll select that, come up here towards the top left-hand corner and click on that little color swatch. Let's change that to a dark blue. And the fill inside of that blue, let's change that to a lighter blue. Just like that. Now, obviously those colors have zero bearing on what is actually going to be cut out of our Cricut cutting machine, other than just letting our Cricut cutting machine know that each of these are going to go onto its own separate mat, which is exactly what I'm wanting. I'm going to go ahead and come up here towards the top right-hand corner and select Make It. And since we are doing HTV, and since this particular patterned HTV has a built-in carrier sheet, I'm going to go through here and mirror all of our layers. All right, so for our base material, I'm gonna cut this out on the everyday iron-on setting. If you are using a Cricut Explorer, just turn your dial over to custom and then this page should pop up for you if it's not already. All right, so I'm gonna come over here and select everyday iron-on. And be sure to do your test cuts. You do not want to make a big O cut onto a big O piece of vinyl or HTV, only to find out later that you didn't cut deep enough or it cut way too deep, because in some of those scenarios, it basically ruins your material. And that's bad news bears. We do not want that. All right, so here is my little banner. I'm laying out right here onto my Cricut Easy Press mat. And I'm also grabbing my Teflon sheet, AKA cover sheet. And I'm just gonna cover that over top of the banner and go ahead and just preheat this basically for about 5 seconds or so. All right, so now that that's done, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my first layer. I'm just gonna go ahead and position this just the way I want it to be on this banner. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and lay my cover sheet down, and I'm only gonna press my Easy Press on here for maybe 2-3 seconds or so, just to tack it into place. Okay, now I'm gonna start to very, very carefully peel back the carrier sheet. And I'm gonna go ahead and layer my second layer right on top of this, cover it back up with my cover sheet, and this time I'm gonna do a full 12 seconds. And then just very, very carefully and slowly start peeling back that carrier sheet. All right, so there is our first one. How cute is that? And we're going to go ahead and cover this back up with my Teflon sheet and then press this for about 5 seconds or so. Thank you so much for watching this takeover. Do not forget to stamp that like button, as well as drop a comment down in that comment section below, just letting us know what you thought of today's project. Also, while you're at it, if you have not yet subscribed to Auntie Tay's channel, now's the perfect time to do so. You do not want to miss out on another episode of OcTAYber. Now, if you are wanting to learn how to use or master your Cricut cutting machine, you may want to head over to my channel and subscribe there as well. Just search on YouTube for Mr. Crafty Pants Cricut Tutorials, or I'm sure there's probably a subscription link down in that description box below. Thank you again. I'm just so appreciative of you for watching, and until next time, stay crafty.